another Tuesday at noon. My name is still Phil. Not still Phil, like I do move around, but my name is still Phil. I remain Phil. That's dumb. So this week I thought I would talk a little bit about an experience that I had 15 years ago. Wow. I had a gig that scared the crap out of me, and I didn't know how to kind of get into it. You know what I mean? The gig was with Phil Albert on bass and Graham Seanwise on saxophone and myself. It was just a trio gig, no chords, and that scared the crap out of me, right? Because when there's no chord player, there's one less person to do kind of rhythmically interesting things with. The bass player has to be a bit busier, the drummer has to be a bit busier. On top of that, Phil and Graham both had to outline the chords a bit more in their playing and what they were doing, and I had to keep it kind of supported while they did that. I was playing very badly, I was very self-conscious, and I was just spang-a-lang, freaking out, just bang, 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 bang. And it wasn't helpful to anybody, it wasn't getting anything done, it just did not work. And I didn't know how to pull myself out of this weird place and get right into it. Halfway through the gig, more or less, in the door walked Brad Turner.
Brad, just give us a hand.
Come on, I'd never leave you hanging around like this.
My health stuff. I am still, as of this morning, at the same weight that I've been at for the last 2 weeks. It's bizarre. It's the magic number. It's the plateau upon which I seem to have landed. Just in the last 3 weeks, when my weight hasn't changed at all, I've noticed that I feel healthier. I think, I look better, it's very strange to me, but the weight isn't moving. Maybe my scales are broken, I don't know. I'm running further than ever before. I'm doing more crunches and pushes and crunchies and, all that. I'm doing more of that work. So, I don't know. It's just very weird. Now, if you don't know who Brad Turner is, he is a fantastic trumpet player, pianist. Apparently he plays the drums as well, but I've not seen that.
This is great! I can't believe Brad is actually playing the Hollywood Bowl!
He's just been on the scene back in Canada forever. Brad is a monster. He's just one of these dudes that he starts playing and you're like, oh, right, that's what it's supposed to sound like. Right? He's just that guy. Under his arm was a flugelhorn. With me being more scared of Brad than I was of there being no chord player, I stopped worrying about the lack of chords and started paying much more attention to what Brad was doing when he was sitting in with us. At some point, I realized that I wasn't worrying about the chords anymore, and I was only worrying about what Brad was doing. But because I was worrying about what Brad was doing and not worrying about what the chords weren't doing because there was no pianist or guitarist on the gig, I realized that everything else I was doing under Brad was a lot more interesting because I was just in the moment and reacting and not overthinking it. This idea really struck a chord with me after the fact.
Boy, Brad, that was fantastic!
Thanks, Scott. Glad you guys could make it to this gig.
To be honest, it wasn't my best playing. I'd be willing to bet that neither Brad, Phil Albert, or Graham Seanwise even remember the gig. It was just a quiet night in a wine bar in, Nanaimo. The lesson that I took from that gig has stuck with me for years.
That's not part of our show.
Phil's this week. While looking for a clip of Brad, I came back across Metalwood. And they are a band from the late 90s, early 2000s out of Toronto. I rediscovered Ian Froman. This is a guy whose playing is amazing. The first time I saw him live, he was throwing like crazy Bonham licks and just really heavy stuff into a jazz context. And I was like, holy crap, this is the first guy that made me realize that the drums as an instrument aren't genre specific, right? The approach isn't genre specific. You don't have to play just jazz in a jazz gig. You don't have to play just rock and roll stuff in a rock and roll gig. It was very enlightening, very eye-opening. It was very cool. I really dug it. And I've really always loved that his name is Froman and he has so much crazy hair. The clip that I want to use is from a session of him just, I think, playing around in front of his house. There's this bit where he plays this thing that is just such an iconic, handy little jazz thing. Yeah, it's just classic. So here's that. So good. The whole time I was doing ships, I was cognizant of not thinking too much, just playing. You have to be in the moment, you have to play the gig, you have to be aware, you have to be in the room, you know. But I found it so much better to just react, have faith in the moment, and just play the drums. You know, it was very cool. So yeah, there's another one. Hope you liked it. Hope your week was awesome. Hope this coming week will also be awesome for you. That's all. If you like this video, like and share and comment and tell me in the comments below what you would like to see me do in the future. What you like about this show in general, anything, you know, tell me whatever you want. Special thanks to Dane for naming Ed over here. Even though he doesn't wear headphones anymore, his name is and forever will be Ed Phones. Yeah, that's all. So, yeah, hope you guys have a killer week, and I'll see you next Tuesday.
I think I'm going to be a rock musician when I grow up.
I hope you get a new set of drums.
Wow, look at that!